Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Let's start with a story in which our OP's mother received 2 years of leave while working at a government agency. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Can't take vacation time? Okay. My mother passed away several years ago, and this is one of her best stories. She worked as the head of the transcription department of a government agency. Whenever she would ask for time off, her boss would refuse. This went on for years, and her leave just accrued. One day, when she was about to turn 63 years old, she walks into the boss's office and tells him she's giving him 2 years' notice that she'll be retiring. He's very confused as to why she's giving so much notice. Then she informed him she'll be on vacation for the rest of her employment as she has 2 years of leave accrued and walks out the door. And our second story. No, the store manager. I work at a boutique where we sell clothing, makeup, bath and body, and small gifts. We have some Christmas decoration items that we'll put out in November, and if they don't sell, we just pack them up and put them out again the next holiday season. Because of this, they aren't ever marked down because we don't have a pressing need to clear them out. I just started working at this store recently and didn't know this, or a lot of huffing and puffing could have been avoided. Around 2 weeks before Christmas, a customer came in and picked up a small glass tree and approached me. C is customer, M is me, AM is assistant manager, SM is store manager. C: Are you guys going to have a big Christmas sale? M: We'll most likely mark down some items after the holidays, but we aren't told which ones and how big the markdowns will be. Your best bet is to check our Facebook page the day after Christmas, where we'll post what we're marking down. C: Well, that's ridiculous. I'm sure you will. Me, thinking to myself, okay then, if you're so sure, why ask? She proceeds to walk out. Fast forward to last night. We were closing early because of the holiday. We're understaffed and all our holiday clothing was half off, so things were crazy. Earlier that day, one of my managers took all the Christmas items, that were never marked down, remember, and wrapped them up and put them in a huge box super high in the back room for next year. 15 minutes to closing, and an hour passed when I should have left. In walks Bargain Hunter. She walks straight to me and demands her glass tree. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you're looking for. My tree! I put it on hold so I could buy it when it was marked down. I'm already starting to realize what's about to go down, since I know the damn tree wasn't even marked down, but I head to the back to find the tree that's supposedly on hold, only there isn't one. And I realize my manager must have put it with the rest of the Christmas stuff in the box. I ask, and sure enough, that's where it is. So I go tell the customer that we already cleaned up the Christmas items, and we're happy to get hers out if she'd wait a few minutes. We get what we think is her tree out, and nope, wrong one. Back to the box and unwrapping more glass trees, finally we locate the exact one she wanted. During this whole fiasco, she complains that she was told the tree would be on hold until the day after Christmas. That's great, lady. It's now December 31st, so buy a calendar. No wonder the tree wasn't in the hold section. We clear those out daily, and it's been almost a week. Okay, now to see if she'll get it at her price or not. The store manager and assistant manager are both at the registers trying to close them out, and she wanders up. At this point, it's well past closing. She places the tree on the counter, and the assistant manager breaks it to her that the tree is actually full price. Well, that's ridiculous. It's from Christmas. What are you going to do with it now? We actually keep them and put them out again next year? Well, I want it marked down. Where's the manager? The store manager steps up. I'm right here, ma'am. Those trees weren't put on clearance. I'm sorry. No, the person I talked to the other day told me that the store manager was marking them down. I'm sorry, ma'am, but they were misinformed. Those items were kept full price. The store manager told me herself they'd be cheaper. I'm the store manager. No, not you, the store manager. As I said, I am the store manager. Oh, so isn't it cheaper? No, ma'am. I'm sorry, it's full price. She ends up buying the damn tree regardless and leaves. My store manager said she was going to give her a discount until she started arguing with her over whether she was indeed the store manager. I'm so glad she didn't. Just goes to show you that the customer can be wrong when they're blatantly making crap up to the person they're lying about. And our next story. Open the door? You got it, dude. Say goodbye to your dignity. I was working for an inconvenience store back in the day. This place wasn't in a necessarily rough neighborhood. I've worked in much worse in the past, but there were just enough high school and college-age kids to get real annoying real quick. This particular store had doors that lock with the push of a button behind the register. Pretty cool, actually, and an important detail for later. Also an important detail, my manager's a genius, so they have me put a big stack of beer right by the front register. You know, so the beer run guys can see how close the beer is to the door from outside. Curly-haired kid comes in just after walking around the parking lot for 20 minutes, and my spidey senses are tingling. I know this dude's gonna beer run me. I just know it. He comes to my register and asks for a cigarette that happens to be very far up on the shelf. I've had this happen before. Someone asks for something that's hard to reach, and when I turn my back, they're gone. Not this time. I then press the door lock button, which makes a very loud clack at the location of the door, which was my way of letting him know that I knew what he was doing. Well, he evidently didn't notice, despite my size, despite my exaggerated movement towards the button. I was thinking to myself, the best person to really think to, what does this kid think I'm doing? Maybe he was desperate, whatever, but as I turned around, I hear a way more satisfying than anticipated thud as this kid with an 18-pack in hand slams into the locked doors. This kid was on the floor. I have no idea how the 18-pack in his hand didn't break. He then kept slamming against the door with his body, saying, "Open this door! Open this effing door right now!" I see this kid come back towards one side of the store and wind up to plow through the door. I know this kid's gonna break the lock if he doesn't stop doing this. He makes one last long run at the door, and I then press the unlock button at the last possible second. The kid flies, literally flies through the doors, swinging open, tumbles to the ground outside. Finally, the 18-pack breaks, rolling everywhere. The kid picked up like 4 beers and just kept running. Awesome. I love the fact that he grabbed some beers before making his final escape. The kid was thirsty. And our last story. Leave the thinking to the smart people. Years ago, I was young and hired as a specialist for a drug manufacturing startup. The company ended up making drug controls and standards instead, which are used to calibrate and set up the instrumentation used to detect drugs. My role as a specialist was to troubleshoot, create standard operating procedures, initiate, perform, complete studies, and do a full analysis on the manufacturing process. My actual role devolved into doing everything from start to finish, receiving the raw material, making pilots, bulking it up, packaging it, and testing the materials between each step to ensure it fell within specifications I wrote, and shipping it out. It was grueling work, and I often ended up working 60 to 80-hour weeks, which my fiancé was not a fan of, but it was my first job out of college, and I needed the experience. I put up with this for about 2 years before the startup got bought out by a larger company. Corporate decided that it was best to assimilate the startup, but send in their management team to get the big pharma name feel and quality. In comes new manager. Let's call him NM. NM. So, Livid, what do you do here? Me. Well, I proceed to list everything I do and how long my days typically are. We've been understaffed for a while and could really use the help. I see. You mentioned you wrote most of the SOPs for each product? Yes, I had to validate X, Y, Z, and author the documents myself. Okay, well, we have our own people who can draft these and help refine them. Could you email people a list of all your document numbers? Okay. Oh, and NM proceeded to give me orders to follow their protocols and get caught up on their training, emphasizing how they're sticklers for rules and regulation. We inform all our customers that due to the changes, we'll be a week behind schedule, and most are understanding. After a week of training, NM asks me to sign off on the changes they've made for every SOP, and they completely trashed the old SOP and misconstrued most of the contents of each document. I bring it up and get promptly told to file a grievance via NM. Me. Did you see what they did to the SOPs? NM. They made them more efficient. There was too much technical language in the old drafts. We need anyone to be able to understand it. They removed the control charts and sample calculations. Yes, they were deemed unnecessary. Our chemists need to do those to fulfill government regulations. Please, Livid, do your job and let the engineers and our legal team handle the government. I don't want to hear anything more about this. Your file says you're a QC analyst. You can leave the real thinking to the smart guys in QA. If you won't sign off on these, we'll just ask someone else. Those words echo in my head to this day. NM proceeded to demote me to their entry-level QC technician with the same rate of pay to keep me around. He wants me to follow orders. Fine. I'm almost at my 2-year mark. I'll just follow orders to the letter. I proceed to do QC work on all the products exactly as they wrote in our shiny new SOPs, and pretty much everything was failing. Or at least they would have known if they bothered to do the math. They replaced most of the core staff because the old staff refused to cut corners, and all our procedures were changed to the vague drivel that passed for technical writing. The products became inconsistent with up to 48% CV variation in the final product, all of which would have been known about and subsequently failed if they didn't change my procedures. According to the new procedures, they mostly passed. Mostly. Procedures say it's good to release? You got it, boss. I meticulously documented everything into their new computerized system with a GMP, GLP, GDP compliant audit trail in excruciating detail, how, who, and why I did everything I did, even going so far as to reference the exact document numbers and versions. Per SOP, of course. I kept this up for 2 months. Almost all the products were sent back from the OEMs after their own secondary QC testing. NM. Livid, I need you to stay late for the next couple weeks to figure out what's going on. Me. I follow the SOPs, everything passes with flying colors. Then why is everything failing? I wouldn't know. I hand him my letter of resignation. You can't quit now, we need you here. Didn't you troubleshoot these things before? I thought you wrote those SOPs. You know I can't do that. I have to leave the thinking to the smart guys in QA. But By the way, HR's making me use all my PTO effective tomorrow since I had too many hours and they can't cash me out. I had another job lined up with a more reputable company. It's inevitable that anyone who tells an employee with more technical know-how, "Don't question me, just do as you're told," is actively screwing themselves over. I applaud you, OP. Hey, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.